I'm actually pretty excited for this one, bro, just because of the fact that the person that you guys see on my screen, or if you guys are listening to, is actually one of the people that I've actually known since I was probably 4 years old, right? Since 4 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah, since
4 or 5.
4 or 5, give or take. So I'm actually pretty excited for this. And well, yeah, like welcome to another episode of Sincerely Unmatched. I actually don't have a co-host today. He's actually kind of busy. So yeah, I'm just excited for this one. And yeah, man, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Just, what you've been up to, how you been, bro, how we met, all good stuff.
Yeah, man. So my name is Alex as well.
Yeah.
Um, we met pretty much pre-kinder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pre-kinder. Went to elementary together. Went to middle school together, and then we ended up moving
Yeah, we needed high school.
in high school. But we grew up a block away from each other. I was always at his house, or next door at the church.
Oh, yeah. The vacant lot.
Like, yeah, the lot. Um, yeah, and one of my oldest friends. Uh, Excited to be here. I love you. It's a long time, bro.
No, yeah, it's been since when, bro? Since like the early pandemic, no?
Yeah, crazy pandemic.
Yeah, man, it's been quite some time, bro. I see the gains now, bro. You look a little bit whiter.
I'm trying, bro, but it's an implant.
Is the SARMs the
Yeah,
Synthol oil?
you know, just a little bit.
Nah, man, that's cool. It's been a long time coming, bro. It's been about like a year and a half, no, or two.
Yeah, we're going on a year and a half.
A year and a half, right? Yeah. Because when you were coming in, right, to train, it was during what, like the first year of the pandemic, or it was already like a year and a half in,
I was 23 at the time. It was about 3 years ago.
2, 3 years ago, right? Because it was early
Yeah,
during
I
that
think.
year.
Yeah, I think I moved back. I think September 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think when we started was around January, wasn't it?
Yeah, bro, it was early that year. Yeah, because you had shown up one time, I remember, like around late December, because I remember I was holding
Yeah,
pads for you, bro, and then my mom had actually came out. She's like, "Hey, bro, you're on fire." You get me? Because
yeah, because all the steam was coming
yeah,
out.
all the steam was coming out.
Well, I had it worked out forever. Man, that was a good session.
Yeah, all right, man. So before we actually jump into the actual, bunch of different topics, bro, I just kind of want you to explain to the people, bro, what's it like growing up in South Central LA? Because a lot of people think that I'm a little bit dramatic or I'm exaggerating some of the stories, bro. And some of the stories that I've told on here, they just don't legitimately make sense. But it doesn't make sense to someone that's actually never lived inside a hood, right? Or South Central LA, because
Right.
some of the stories that I tell, they're just like, they're almost borderline stupid, bro. Like, who the fuck believes this shit? So, can you explain to everybody that's listening, bro, what's it like growing up in South Central LA?
Um, yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes some of these stories are stupid and stupid in different ways. Sometimes they're stupid funny. Sometimes they're just stupid pointless. But growing up there, man, it's right now I live in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm still taking a while to adjust, bro. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
here a couple of years already,
Yeah.
but the environment is just so different.
Mm-hmm.
LA is cool, as long as you stick to yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever you don't want to be involved with, don't involve yourself in it. Um, and mind your own business, pretty much. I don't see personally. I've had that. I mind my own business. Whatever has happened, everybody's a kid at one point. We all do stupid things, right?
Yeah, you're right.
But it's just some of these stories. Yeah, it's crazy.
Hey, do you
I mean,
agree that LA is like its own bubble in a way? Because I've actually seen, I mean, My bad. I haven't really seen too many states, bro, but I've been to like states like Arizona and Texas, and I
Yeah.
always give these people this comparison. Like when I was in Texas, bro, everybody's all friendly. Like everybody wants to make small talk with you. Everybody's like, "Good morning, how you doing?" And over here, if you say "Good morning," fool, people borderline go like, "You get me?" So it's always kind of funny to see how people from other states think that people from LA are a little bit snobby, a little bit more. I guess I just want to say that it's not really that we're snobby, bro. We just have all of these things going on all around us, besides like the stress of, you know, mortgages, rent, food, how
Right, right.
expensive
Just
it
a
is.
lifestyle in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've actually been around a couple states.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my dad was a truck driver growing up,
Mm-hmm.
so he was always out of state a lot, and I used to go with him from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in those states like forever, but I had some. I was from around some environments at the time. So I think the problem with LA is just a population thing.
Yeah.
There's just so many people, bro. And I compare it to when we were kids. Like if you went, like for us, we played softball and everything. So the drive, to a soccer game or whatever, it didn't feel so long, it didn't feel so fast. But now, bro, you just got like all day, all night, you know. And I think it's just our generation, you know. That's what I believe. You know, our parents had a couple kids, and now everybody's growing up, and everybody has their own car, everybody needs their own place, their own
True.
space, and I mean, not LA was a big city as it was, but I just think it spiked up a little bit more than unexpected
Mm-hmm.
to be able to handle it. With that being said, fortunately there comes a lot more dangers as well.
Yeah, bro.
Just because so many people, you know, people can get away with things, and unfortunately, people get hurt. And I think social media has a lot to do with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that fame or that want to be have your minutes of fame or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
It's dangerous, bro. It really is.
While being on the topic of social media, bro, I also know that, believe it or not, bro, I think that this is very strange in a way, but also very respectable is the fact that you actually don't have social media, bro. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
man,
I don't at all.
can you tell us about that, bro? Or how's your mindset? How do you feel basically in a way, kind of being out of the loop because nowadays, I mean, most of the information or most of the news that most young
Right,
people get is actually from social media. So how has
right.
that kind of like played with your day-to-day life, bro?
So with me, social media,
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 21,
Mm-hmm.
20, 21 around there. I had Instagram, I had Snapchat, I had Facebook. That was the only things I had. I never got into Twitter or any other social media things that was
Platform.
happening at that time. Um, but honestly, I was just in a very bad place in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fortunately, I was involving myself, like, how we talked about earlier, involving myself in things that weren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
Um, fortunately, I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot, doing a lot of other things that, it's not right for you. And just my personality alone, it, I just said I had enough. You know, I didn't like the way it felt. I felt like shit every day. Your mind is all fucked up and everything. And I just saw myself like scrolling through social media pointlessly, like for hours. Like, you get home and I'm so tired that sometimes you just gotta clean. You still gotta cook. You still gotta.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that need to be done around the house. But
Yeah.
if you're on social media, you may sit there for 5, 10 minutes, but once you realize it, maybe it's half an hour, maybe it's
Yeah.
an hour already.
Yeah, that's true.
And it happens to everybody. It happened to me. I was getting, bro. I used to sit there sometimes 2, 3 hours,
Yeah.
and at that time I was living with my cousin, so she would come home and I'm like, damn, how long have I been sitting here? Like, I didn't wash the dishes, I didn't clean, I didn't do the things I was supposed to do.
Makes sense.
But on the other side, it was messing with me in a way that I didn't realize,
Hmm.
where you post certain things in a certain way just because you want to get something out of it.
Hmm.
That's how I felt personally.
Yeah.
You
So,
know,
so one or two things, bro. Sorry to cut you off. That's one of the things that I've mentioned early in this podcast, especially now with so many short videos, like
yeah,
especially affecting our, you kind of say our attention span. It's like
right,
you go through like a rabbit hole of things. Like if you go on YouTube, you can literally start by searching, I don't know, some MMA stuff, right? For example, or somebody weightlifting, and before you know it, bro, you're like watching like two rabbits humping each other, bro. Like that's how crazy you get inside the loophole. Does it kind of make sense?
yeah, it does. And I'm guilty of it because you mentioned YouTube.
Hmm.
It does get me at times too, and it does bug me. So I'm trying to work on staying a little bit out of YouTube. Although I do use YouTube a lot for working out stuff, a lot of
Yeah.
information that I want to find, or if I'm just curious about any sort of topic. You know what I mean? Um, I do use it a lot, and yeah, it does get to a point where I was like, what if I just start a new account, start fresh?
Yeah.
So it would just bring up your favorite things.
Yeah, but it'll get to you, bro. It'll get to you eventually. I
Yeah,
mean, there's so many stuff being marketed at the same time, and when people are on YouTube, especially the people that actually play the game of YouTube, they hit or they try to target specific people or specific niches.
right.
Yeah, so sometimes it's
Well,
just kind of hard to get out of it.
you know, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan, so
Yeah.
those conversations, bro, they take you anywhere. And then it's funny because I'll watch those shorts and I'll go to a video, and sometimes I'll just look at the comments, see what
Hmm.
other people are saying, see if
Hmm.
there's something information or
Yeah.
something related to it. And I've seen comments, bro, that I'm here because of Joe Rogan, or I saw this on Joe Rogan and now I'm watching this. So it's crazy, bro. That rabbit hole is mind blowing. I never thought it would be like this.
Nah, yeah, man. I think I
But
remember seeing a funny edit from Joe Rogan where somebody's telling him, like, it's an edit though, bro. Like, they got it from the same episode where it's like somebody's telling like a deep ass story, and then he's all like, well, have you ever tried DMT on, I don't know what?
it's my favorite. I was like, man, that's just a classic.
What other podcasts do you watch, bro, besides Joe Rogan? Or what other podcasts do you listen to?
I started listening to one you actually got it on Spotify.
Which one?
This one.
Oh, this one? Oh, shit.
I got it on Spotify now. But it's not a basic one. So Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman,
Oh, Lex
Jocko.
Friedman's good.
Uh, I just started getting into Jordan Peterson. Um, those are like the
The
ones
main
I'm
ones.
subscribed to, right? But on YouTube, I watch a lot of Matt Walsh. What's his name? And what? What's his name?
And I haven't heard of that one.
He's some short guy, but he debates them a lot. But on YouTube, I'll just watch a variety of people.
Yeah.
I see whatever they say and kind of agree with what they're talking about, or I'm interested in it. I try to be open minded,
Hmm.
you know, just find out things that can help you better yourself, bro.
Do you watch Andrew Huberman?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Andrew,
Andrew
yeah,
Huberman. Yeah.
absolutely.
I actually got into him, bro, a lot, and my cousin actually started watching him a lot as well. And he's always, hey, have you seen this episode? Like, bro, like, hold up, like, I got so much other shit to do, bro. I just don't really sit down. For the most part, I feel like I'm kind of like you. Like when I go for my long runs, either I'm listening to like an audible, I'm listening to
Right.
like a podcast, especially since I do like pretty long runs. Nowadays, right? Like I just kind of like, let's fucking put on some Joe Rogan.
You did
Let's
that
hit this
10 mile
run.
run, bro. That 10 mile run was crazy.
Yeah, man, those runs are low key. They're taking a toll, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. This week I
That's a
didn't
lot.
run because my knees were a little jacked up. You could say.
Yeah, from all that.
For all the running, food, I had been doing it straight for like 4 weeks. Every Friday. It's been an every Friday thing. So the first day that I went, bro, I actually went for 8 miles. So basically, it's from here to the park, half a lap around the park, and then you run back. That'd be an 8 mile. And then the second time around, I did it for 8 mile, and then the third time around, like, ah, fuck it, I'll challenge myself. So I went, I did 2 laps, and I came back. It's about actually, bro, it's about like 9.61 is to be exact. But of course, it's
Right.
like a little bit closer to 10, right? So I was just like, ah, fuck it. I ran the 10 miles, even though I was only missing like point 0.4, bro. But yeah, I mean, those runs will get you, bro. And like, honestly, I'll be honest with you, bro. You're one of the people that actually motivated me to do that because you would talk about running and then you would talk about David Goggins, who shout out to my cousin that's actually the co-host on this what do you call it podcast. He's also a big fan of David Goggins. So when you started telling me like, hey, I'm gonna incorporate some running into my routine, I'm like, ah, fuck it, I'll incorporate some running too.
Yeah, bro. You know, same with you. You're actually, I would say, one of the main people that inspired me to start doing all this.
Yeah,
Because the same thing, man. Like I would see you, and man, I know I can do it with him, but
yeah,
it was like everybody, your first time, you're always shy. There's always that security, like
yeah.
you don't want to look a certain way, but um, really the only way to do that is just keep
Jump
going.
in.
Yeah, just keep going. It does get easier,
Yeah, it does. And
and
addicting.
yeah, it's addicting. Bro.
Yeah, addicting.
Now I go every single day of the week. Um, I went this morning right before we did this. I was like, that David Goggins, bro, like you said, I got to get it in before I get it in.
Yeah.
So I did some weights. And like, I
Which
still did.
which
I
workout?
did the stationary for weights or the stationary. I did the stationary back as
Hmm.
well. But yeah, I did back. I just had back workout.
What it look like, bro? What a routine look like?
Pull downs, wide grip, narrow grip, um, pull ups. I did T-bar, bend over rows, single cable rows.
Damn, you got all the rolls in.
Yeah, because each one, I don't know. I want to get as many whatever muscle group I can in,
Hmm.
And it's not heavyweight. Today I didn't go heavy. It was lightweight, high reps, um, and then cardio right after.
What's crazy, bro, is that you actually implement like pull-ups. I've seen so many people's routine, especially incorporating back, and it's like nobody fucking does pull-ups nowadays, bro. Like nobody fucking does them. It's like everybody does rows, deadlifts, uh, cable rolls, all the rolls you could think
Yeah,
of, but nobody could actually pull their weight up, bro. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like that's like the father of all back muscles, bro. Back muscle workouts.
yeah, yeah. So whenever I do back, um, there's a few workouts that I'll do superset.
Hmm.
So whenever I'm doing T-bar rolls,
Hmm.
I'll do bent over rolls as well.
Okay.
Um, and then I'll superset that, and then I'll switch my grip on the bent over rolls, and then do single arm kettlebell
Mm.
and superset that. And then sometimes I'll do a shrug. So whenever I do shrug,
Hmm.
that's when I'll do my pull-ups. I superset that. I don't do a lot. I could do more than what I do, but I feel my form start
Yeah.
compromising, and I'd rather just do a few more sets rather than try to get a rep in, and it's not gonna really be the most effective.
Yeah, like you're trying to like create that mind muscle connection, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it keeps you focused, and like Arnold, you look at people like Arnold, like they say, there's some small details that really make you stand out.
Hmm.
So yeah, you know,
I
super
uh,
stellar.
I also saw something really funny, bro. That reminded me of you a few days ago. It was actually I think we talked about this how we hate people that pull sumo,
Oh yeah, I
and
think this
so
was like three, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
yeah, bro, remember?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
and I saw this one guy kind of rebuttaling our all of our statements, bro, and well, not us like exactly, but just the people that would say like sumo's gay and all this stuff, right? So he was all like, "Why do people hate the people that pull sumos? The only reason I pull sumos because I have a big ass cock." And it's because if I pull conventional, my nuts would be like stuck to my I don't know what, bro. I'm like, bro, chill out.
Me personally, it's just not for me, bro.
I don't like it
Like
either.
I have nothing against them if they want it, if that's what they feel benefits them, and that's what they want to do. Who am I to say anything?
Hmm.
Um, Personally, it's not for me. I don't either do sumo or even half reps. I don't like that.
Hmm.
Especially with squats. I see people do that all the time. And, the excuse is always, oh, well, I can't go down that low. Well, you're not stretching.
Hip
Like,
mobility,
let's be
hip
honest.
stability.
Yeah, your mobility, your flexibility, like, let's be honest, you're not stretching. And if you are, how much are you really pushing yourself to be that flexible? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, are you getting comfortable with where you're at, or are you trying to push it a little bit each time? You know what I mean? Um, the only reason I say that is because I feel that's helped me so much.
Hmm.
I'll take 20, sometimes even depends on how tense I feel. I'll take 20, 30 minutes to stretch before I start doing leg day.
Mm.
Um, but that's just me personally. That I feel that's what's benefited me. That's what helped me. Um, you know, Squat whatever I can squat and do whatever amount of weight it is that I can.
Yeah, yeah. Usually when I squat, I don't necessarily stretch, bro, but I do a lot of mobility work. I'll do like hip openers, so I'll put two dumbbells, two kettlebells in front of me. I'll sit like an L sit basically across from the kettlebells, and then I move my hips
Right.
over the dumbbells back to the middle, to the side, to the
Yeah,
middle,
yeah,
right? Or like bootstrap stretches where it's not really a stretch, it's more like it's dynamic stretching. So just to kind of like open up the hip flexors, and another thing that I like to do is actually get like those booty bands that chicks be wearing, but actually kind of like move from side to side, bro. They'll flare up your IT bands, your cheeks, bro, and woo, you
yeah.
be ready to go, bro. You be in that shit, squatting deep. And if you still have like lack of mobility, I would always suggest people to get a slant board, bro. The slant board actually helps being able to get ass to grass if that's ultimately your goal, or as deep as you possibly could get. I don't know if you know what that is.
It's nuts to be honest, bro.
It's just you put your so basically for the people that don't know, slant board is basically as it sounds. It's a little board. You could actually like mess with it, so it kind of looks like this. So you guys could go like pretty low, high, low, and ultimately like you want something that's kind of like this. So now your heel is basically on the tallest point, and you're coming down, and you squat off of that, and it gets deep in there, bro. It hurts.
Like I said, for me personally, just stretching has helped me a lot.
Hmm.
Um, I funny that you say that. I just started besides my stretching before because squats is usually my first
Hmm.
workout. So before that, there's times where I'll do what is it called? Hip something. You just put your legs and you open them,
Oh yeah.
and then it's the other one too where you close your legs. just to kind of, like you said, get a little bit of mobility in
Hmm.
before you start squatting.
Yeah, it's the abductor and the adductor machines, right? Like you're sitting down
Yeah,
and close
right.
in and out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I do. I've noticed stretching before I started stretching. Like I used to get so hands, you know, my phone was falling off. It wasn't always right. But after with stretching, and it doesn't take much.
Hmm.
You know, you can do 10, 15 minutes just to at least, you're not so tense whenever you're.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel it's very overlooked. Stretching, especially after, bro, because a lot of people, I guess, they're tired or they're worn out and they don't necessarily stretch their muscles at the end, and they basically are wondering why the next few days they're all like stiff and can't even
Yeah,
move.
they're stepped up, and yeah, I mean, before a workout, I think it's just kind of open the muscles up,
Hmm.
work them up, kind of get them going a little bit. Afterwards, I think it's just to like calm them down, just massaging them, getting pretty much just trying to calm everything down.
Yeah, I think that also it's quite a stress reliever too, bro. I feel a lot of people they get very agitated after working out, especially like the first few days or coming back to the gym, and they're all like agitated, all fucking mad, bro, for nothing because they're all like stiff and tight and they're sore. And I don't know. I feel like stretching actually would help. Just, like as you mentioned, like just stretch out those muscles, keep the blood like just constantly flowing, and
Just
that
get
way
some
you don't
blood
feel all like
flowing.
yeah, all tight in.
Yeah, I always recommend it, especially with people who do leg days, because not everybody does them, bro.
Nah, a lot of people skip them.
Unfortunately, but what can you do?
They look like snow cones.
Uh, it's horrible. Like, cool, if you just don't got the leg genetics, that's cool. But at least, you can lose some weight. So some of them, I don't know, but I don't know what they think.
I think it just doesn't help their physique, bro. I think it just looks a bit strange when people, you get me, like they just work up like their upper body and their lower body is like oh really small and tiny. It's like, how do you even carry your own weight, bro?
Not only that, like, I feel if you do legs, if you do legs, it helps your upper body strength a lot.
Hmm.
Like, so, so much. Um, like, let's say, for instance, if you're deadlifting,
Yeah.
your legs can help you push that weight up a little bit faster, a little bit easier, and maybe you might even be able to put in more weight on the bar.
Hmm.
But that's one thing I don't ever
Sorry.
skip leg day. I can. I remember when I started, when I decided that I was gonna start working out. Um, I was at my cousin's house for Sunday, and one of my cousins told me, she's like, "You better not be skipping leg day." And she's like, "You looking like." She looked just like that. I'm looking big up top here and just about there.
Like a snow cone.
Yeah, because like my family brothers, they got skinny legs, so it's not, they don't look good.
No, and you're right, bro. I believe, for example, I mean, without getting too much into the technicalities of the actual lifts, but for example, like a deadlift, people think that it's just strictly for legs, but in reality, it's a whole posterior chain exercise. So if you're doing it correctly, without like getting too much into the technicalities of it, of course, as I mentioned, um, you're actually working like your lats, your shoulders. You get me? Like you're working basically like as you mentioned your whole body. You get me? Same thing with the squat. Like if you if you're thinking about it, I mean basically you're pushing your own weight plus on top of the weight that you have on the
Whatever
bar.
else that you have on the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's another thing too. Like you mentioned squat, it works out your lower back as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
True.
not just your legs. It's your glutes, it's your lower back as well.
True.
So and your core.
Mm.
So whenever you do back, like whenever you do pull downs, you know what I mean. You can use your lower back muscles and your core for stability, for the weight, whatever it is that you need. Um, and I think it's just with everything. So when you have the whole package, everything becomes a lot easier. And like you said, it just looks better.
Yeah.
It looks better.
Yeah, I think the only problem with some of those exercises is that sometimes people look at these as just something very simple to do and they lack mm, maybe not just the strength, bro, but also the correct form. So a lot of people have even suggested, I've seen it on the web, just avoiding deadlifts altogether because of the lack of, mobility, support, stability, form, and all the things that we just been talking about. Because a lot of people, like, they'll hop on that, like the on those racks, bro, and they'll start to like deadlift and shit, and it's like you'll see like their back arch a lot or their ass
Oh,
sticking too
bro,
low.
it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I see like, kids that look like they just graduated high school. Putting like
Bro,
four plates, putting four plates, bro, and deadlifting. I'm just like, dude.
I'm gonna show you something really hilarious, bro. Exactly what you just said. Like, watch, hold up. And you're gonna be cracking up, bro. Like, watch. Let me just show you this shit real quick. Let me see if you can see it, bro. Look, I don't know if you can see it. It says high school kids deadlifting.
About
And then look at the dogs.
yeah, bro, it's horrible. I mean, me personally, I don't deadlift. Um, Again, to me, it doesn't seem a workout that
Hmm.
I want to raise. I'll do it occasionally. I'll
Hmm.
do Romanian deadlift,
Yeah.
um, but it's not heavyweight at all.
Hmm.
And I just don't do it because a lot of people that say they deadlift it, a lot of them just end up getting hurt.
Yeah.
Regardless, of what, you are at risk of getting hurt.
Hmm.
And to me, again, I go to the gym every day, and I don't do it for physical appearance or any of that. It is a bonus. Don't get me wrong, but I do it for my mental.
Hmm.
It just it helps me calm down. Helps get a lot of that stress out the way, a lot of those thoughts out the way.
Hmm.
Um, so as long as I'm able to be there every single day and do something, it's a big benefit. So, I happen to get hurt on accident and I'm out of the gym for a few days or maybe even weeks,
Yeah.
you know, not only does your mind start going away a little bit, but also all that hard work that you did, you're gonna have to start over, bro.
What's funny, bro, is I actually had a new client. When was it? Well, he's actually been coming in for his second week, right? And
Mhm.
he wanted to get his back big, and he wanted to hit big lifts. And I'm like, okay. He's all like, oh, hey, bro, teach me how to deadlift. I'm like, hey, bro, how about we start off with a rack pull? And so, for the people that don't know what a rack pull is basically a deadlift in itself. The only thing is that you take out the leg portion of it. So you basically start from like a high knee position.
your, your shins or,
Hmm.
depending on some of them you could adjust it higher or
Hmm.
lower. But yeah, essentially it's around your knee, your shin area.
Yeah, exactly. And so we basically went pretty high, bro. High in weight. Of course, we first, got a little bit mobile, got a little bit adjusted to like the actual movement in itself. And then after that, we got something that was pretty heavy, but not heavy to the point where it's like you can't do more than, I don't know, like 6 reps. You could do maybe 3, 4 reps at most with perfect form, right? And so I had him
Right.
rack pulling, bro. And that dude was out for like a week, not because of injury, bro, but because of how sore he was.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing I tell like everybody. When I started, bro, I was doing the same weight, even though it wasn't. I knew I could go heavier, but I was stuck on the same weight for weeks,
Mhm.
maybe even months at a time, just trying to be able to. stretch that weight where it becomes easy, you know. And with everything, like even if it was low weight, still more reps.
Hmm.
You know, you're still gonna grow. You're still gonna get big. But people don't have to forget that just like your muscles have to train and get bigger, so does you know everything else. Your nerves, your tendons, your ligaments. You know, everything else has to adjust to that weight.
Hmm.
Um, and people, I guess you call it ego,
Yeah.
or a lot of that does come into play at times. For everybody, at one point or another, it happens. Everyone's guilty of it. Um, but you start going up in weight, and you risk getting injured. And again, to me, getting injured it's not an option. So I do, I will go heavy, but it's whenever I'm with my friend with me.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I'm
Spot
just
on.
by myself, if I'm by myself, it's low rep, high weight.
Yeah, man, I think that you're spot on because believe it or not, and I believe this is very factual, is a lot of people that are on gear and they are starting to put up big numbers. Ultimately, they get injured because of the fact that their muscle grows like really, really fast because of the roids itself, but the tendons and the ligaments don't catch up. That's why you see like a lot of big dudes, for
A lot
example,
of
for
tears.
exactly. Like for example, like we saw with Larry Wheels a few years ago where he was spotting another guy and he was like bench pressing and his shit tore
Yeah,
like straight off.
you send that. You send me that video.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of people they're taking all of this gear, their muscles get bigger, but their ligaments and tendons don't catch up.
I mean, once you start getting big numbers, bro, like it's a strain on your body.
Yeah.
Like you said, it says you squat. Think about it. Sometimes you're squatting twice your weight. For people who can, and like you said, you got to get your own body weight up plus whatever you have on
On
the
the
bar.
bar. Yeah.
It's a strain, and um, I don't see the rush. I don't see why people want to. It's not going to get you girls. Trust me. Like I've never seen a girl go up
Nah,
to a guy that lifts heavy and is like, "Wow, that's impressive." It
that
doesn't
doesn't
happen.
happen. Yeah, it doesn't
It
happen.
doesn't happen. If anything, you're impressing the guys.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's true. What's your workout split,
But
bro?
yeah, but to me, there's no rush. You know, practice makes perfection. So I focus more on the, regardless if I can do another rep or another two, three more reps, or even if I can go higher weight. But if my form starts being compromised, I'll just rack it back.
Hmm.
And to me, there's no point.
I think.
And the longer you do it, the the better your body's just gonna be.
Hmm.
Like it really is. It is, bro. Like if you just do it more and more and more, and you do it often, but to the point where you're not hurting yourself, you're not straining yourself. Um, like if you go heavy every single day you go to the gym, you can only go once a week. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Me, I go twice a day for everything,
Mm.
but I mean twice a week. I'm sorry, but I could do that because I don't go heavy.
Yeah.
I just focus on, it's like a step. You focus on this amount of weight. You make sure that you can do it. For me, it's 10 reps to the correct form.
Hmm.
And once that becomes easy, okay, let's add 5 to 10 pounds. And now let's try to get that in the right form and be able to do 10 reps with that and multiple sets,
Yeah.
to when that becomes easy. And then let's just move up a little bit, up the ladder. Um, there are times, like again, we're all guilty. There are times where I do overdo it
Yeah.
and
Everybody
I
does.
shouldn't. Um, but, you know, I think every now and then, as long as you're not trying to do a lot more than what you're capable
True.
of. Every now and then, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah. One or two things, bro. Um, First, it's funny that you actually talk about that because I believe I don't know if you know who Faraz Sahabi is.
Yeah,
All right, yeah. So Faraz Sahabi would basically was on Joe Rogan, right? And he was talking about like the same thing that you were talking about, like if on that first day, if all I could do is max out like 50 push-ups, if I do 50 push-ups, basically by the end of the week, like I'm tired from I don't know Monday through Thursday, and then I try to do like another 50. Like ultimately, I'm just gonna be able to do like 100, right? But if I do like half of that, right, like 20, right, like I'm gonna get like 140. You get me? Like we're gonna get more reps in. So
yeah,
it's interesting that you say that, right? Because a lot of people have that philosophy that either A, like we're gonna go to failure and until I'm sore and I can't breathe the next day, or we're
right.
gonna go about halfway through so that way the next day I'm capable of hitting maybe an antagonist muscle group or a different muscle group, right? And second of all, that brings me to my second point, which is a lot of people don't necessarily know how to play with weights. And what I mean by that, bro, is that ultimately, as you mentioned, like you get a workout with very lightweight. Like for example, like there's so many ways to have variation into your workout. So it just doesn't necessarily have to be strictly by reps and sets. I mean, you could do time under tension, right? So like 5 seconds up, 5 seconds down. I think I've done that with you, right?
Yeah,
There's stuff like that's timed, right? Kind of like an interval, as many as you could do under a certain time. If you don't want to be
certain
as
time, trying to rest, and get back at it.
yeah, exactly, almost kind of like a back to back, like super set. And then there's also like a bunch of ways in which you guys could actually ultimately play with your reps and sets. So, for example, I actually did this with one of my group of students on Friday. So we did a W5 pyramid. So what people don't realize is that sure, like it's a little bit of like reps, but ultimately when you count it up, it's a pretty high
It's a
number.
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, bro.
Yeah,
But ultimately, it's
I
just kind of like a
I hated
psychological trick, bro.
I hated those.
Bro, and
Bro, every time we would do them, I used to hate them so much.
yeah, and it sucks, bro. And ultimately, like the same thing that they were telling me, it's like, oh, that's a little bit of like a reps and sets. And then when I had them doing the squats, and then I made it even harder, bro, because even though they were only using like 10-pound dumbbells, 5-pound dumbbells, their rest would be at the lower, like halfway position. So it suck even more, bro. I'm like,
Oh, I remember you told me I'll make 5 pounds feel like 100.
exactly. And I told them the same thing, bro, but they didn't believe me. And since they just ultimately thought like, oh, it's just 5 reps, 4 reps, 3 reps, 2 reps. But ultimately, when you count it up, bro, it's like somewhere up there, like in the high 80s, bro, I believe. 70s or 80s.
Yeah. Um, so again, I got a lot of that from you working out with you.
Yeah.
Um, that ultimately, that was my mindset. Like you said, from Joe Rogan podcast. If I can do it 2 times a week,
Mm-hmm.
why not? I have 2 times the volume of reps that you have. I have more hours put into the gym. I have more knowledge. Um, I have more time to practice on my form,
Mm-hmm.
to practice on my breathing, which is I think very very important that a lot of people don't do or even talk about.
Or emphasize.
Exactly, and just making sure that everything is aligned properly, that everything is right before you actually start pushing the weight. Whether it's light or it's heavy, you can get injured anyway. Um, that's just what I think. You know, and in the long run, it's going to benefit you. Maybe not now, but 2, 3 years down the line, if I have twice as much time in the gym as my theory, I should be able to do a lot more weight. I should look better and everything. But there's also a lot of things that come into play with that. Your diet, your
Exactly.
sleep, you know, your whole routine in general. your lifestyle.
Yeah, I think nutrition is probably like the biggest factor, especially as you get older, just because of the fact that you can't be like a 17 or 18-year old eating hot Cheetos as a pre-workout and, getting it in there and being fit, right? Like ultimately now you're a little bit older, your metabolism slows down a little bit. And of course, your body just needs different nutrients. I remember when I was like 17 or 18, and even before that, bro, like 16 maybe, I wouldn't warm up. I'd eat gummy bears, bro. Some days I wouldn't fucking necessarily eat, bro, because I'd be in school and I just come straight home and lift weights. And I was able to do that, bro. I do that nowadays, bro. I'll faint under that bar, bro.
Yeah, I was actually talking about this with one of my coworkers that I see my age now and I see my health and my stamina and everything.
Mhm.
I compare it to when I was like 15. Bro, what a difference! Like if I'm noticing it now, like imagine when you get like 50, 60,
Yeah.
that's a big difference.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, like you mentioned, it equates to nutrition and well, basically your lifestyle, how you sleep, the amount of stress that you have, and all that good stuff. Like me, bro, I'll be honest with you. I've been on a diet, so I eat about like 2,300 calories every day, and for the most part, I always track it. Right? I track everything on Avatar, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you could definitely feel like a big difference when you're eating the right foods, right? And about I want to say like every third week, bro, I have a refeed day. So ultimately, it's not really a day where I get to like pig out, right? Because everybody thinks like cheat meal, bro, or like cheat week or whatever, and they ultimately think like, oh, every day we're gonna eat crap, right? Or one day out of the week we're gonna eat crap. But no, literally like that refeed day is just basically I bump my calories up to about like 3,700, 3,080, just to kind of like give my body like a little bit of a reset and not
Mm-hmm.
tag my immune system so much. So yeah, man, like you could actually like really feel the difference, believe it or not, bro, with like the nutrition and what you're taking in. And another thing that I really like to do, bro, is like play around with people's mind and head because you'll see me post like cheeseburgers online, bro. You'll see me post like French fries. You'll see me post tenders. And what people fail to realize, bro, is that I made all that stuff. And usually when I make my food, I put like, pretty healthy stuff, right? So, for example, like I was just telling my cousin in the last podcast, when I post that cheeseburger, people don't realize that the meat is, what do you call it? Lean beef. It's like 97.3. They don't realize that the bread is whole wheat, bro. They don't realize that the cheese is fat free. They don't realize that the mayonnaise is like half of like a serving of like the regular one. It's like 50% less fat. So a lot of people fail to realize that nutrition doesn't necessarily have to be boring. But since a lot of people just go off like what they're seeing, they're like, what the fuck? Like, how are you on like a diet, bro? Like, if you're eating all this crap, and it's like, I always tell people all the time, look, diet doesn't necessarily have to just be chicken, rice, and vegetables. Like there's other elements of nutrition that people don't take into consideration, such as like the actually enjoying the food and actually having some form of, how do I say, like sustainability, bro? Because what's the, like if you can't sustain that, bro, it's like
Having consistency with your meals.
yeah, exactly. And like, it's not even just that, but like, you want to make it something sustainable, bro. It's like something that you would be able to do like for the rest of your life. You get me? It's like I could eat a cheeseburger now for the rest the rest of my life if I wanted to, and I could literally have a cheeseburger every day, and it doesn't necessarily affect me. And keep in mind, bro, like since I actually like for the most part, right, measure everything out, so I kind of
Yeah.
already have like an idea on what is.
What the nutrition value is.
Exactly, bro. And so, yeah, I'm not saying that like I don't eat chicken and rice, right? Because of course I do have it, not as often, bro. Like since I've been learning more about nutrition, but I do it. I do have it. I don't want to say rarely, but here and there. And yeah, people just fail to realize, bro, that nutrition doesn't necessarily have to be like this boring. Like for example, like I be having waffles, bro, with like chocolate chip and shit. Like and I be having like full on breakfast, bro. Like sometimes, yeah, like some things I might have to supplement. Like for example, like I do supplement a lot, bro. For example, for breakfast, the pork bacon to the turkey bacon, but it's just because of the fact that I can't really afford like the macros of fat of like regular bacon like in my diet. You get me? Or my diet. I don't even really want to call it a diet because I eat whatever. But yeah, like
your meal plan basically.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but other than that, bro, like I'll eat cereal, right? Measured out, but I'll eat it, right? Almond milk, like a lot of ice cream, bro. I make ice cream, bro. Like, and it doesn't affect me, bro. And so far, I've lost about like 15 pounds, bro. Yeah.
The thing with that I see is that you might not be doing like you said going strict on your so-called diet or whatever,
Hmm.
but you took a step forward, bro, and that's the most important thing. That you found one more way to involve yourself deeper into the lifestyle, into being healthy, into you know having a better future for yourself, and that's the main thing. You just gotta take one little step. One little step is going to become another and another, and once you realize it, who knows? Maybe a few months from now, you might be super strict or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just how far do you want to take it?
Take it. Yeah,
How
exactly.
soon do you really want to see results? Um, you can work out as hard as you want, but if you're not eating right,
Hmm.
I would say it's kind of pointless for you to even go that hard.
Yeah, true.
You know, um, with me personally, I've seen it. I went sort of a stricter route with it, so I got so into it, and I wanted to have a kind of edge over people.
Hmm.
That's one of the things that, like, working out is easy. Eating is hard.
Yeah.
Having to eat, I was eating the same meals every single day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Yeah, and I was doing it 6 days out the week because one day I would take off. I'm not eating junk, but I'm not gonna stick to that diet or meal plan for
Mm.
now. Um, and here's one that you mentioned earlier. When you stop eating it, you eat junk food right after. Here's the thing, bro. Like, your stomach is so used to eating clean. When you eat that kind of food, it messes you up.
It does. It
Like
does.
it'll mess you up, and it's not worth it. It's not. It really does mess you up, And nowadays there's so many ways to cook food. Bro. You can get an air fryer that can cook anything.
That's me right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying because you said you got the chicken tenders. If you want to get that, you throw them in the air fryer.
Yeah,
It's
no
cooking in
oil.
4 minutes. Yeah, no oil. You can put it, set the time, set the temperature, and go do something else.
Yeah, exactly.
And little things like that. Like I said, it's just people don't want to take it to where I don't want to be strict on my diet. I want to be able to eat chips, or I want to be able to go to Starbucks, or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But that has to go away. It's gonna go somewhere. And I think a lot of people in general don't. Whenever they go to a gym, they don't work out enough.
Mm.
I feel like they just half-ass it most of the time. So yeah, exactly,
Machines.
bro, exactly.
Uh,
That's all it is. That you know, we were talking about social media earlier. We got off topic, but that's exactly what they're doing, bro. They're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on
yeah.
Snapchat, and my question to them is always like, "What are you looking at? Like, you're not looking at anything because he said your attention span is only a few seconds now.
Hmm.
So you're looking at one thing, scrolling, looking, scrolling, looking, scrolling. You're not looking at anything. You're not finding something that's interesting you, and it's just taking your attention span away for no reason. And again, they'll sit there for 5 minutes just looking at their phone.
Hogging the machines.
Yeah, just hugging the machine. And it's just like, even if you are texting someone, like, just text them afterwards.
Put that
Like,
shit on airplane mode. That's what I do,
you're
bro.
here to work. You're here to work out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if it's not busy, you know, nobody's really there. It's cool, whatever. But when it's busy and you're on your phone, like be courteous with other people. You know, at least get off or tell them if they want to join, they can join. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like you see a lot of people just they do a workout, they get pumped, and then they start looking in the mirror, take the phone out, take a picture. Like there's no need for that.
That's true.
You know, you're not a fucking nobody cares what you look like. And that's the main thing, bro. In the gym, nobody cares.
Yeah, there's like another like 20 fools that probably look like you too.
Yeah. And here's the thing, for the most part, at least for me, the people that I've met through the gym, they're, you know, pretty, good people. Um, they've helped me, if I have a question and I think they might know, or if I couldn't do something, I'll ask them, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this way? Or if it's a different workout, hey, what is that? Um, so like a lot of people are not assholes. They're just like it's kind of weird being in a huge room with strangers you don't know.
With half naked dudes.
Yeah, I mean, girls have naked, shirtless food. Kind of like it's a weird environment,
Yeah, it is. I think some people
and
would
it
even
does
find it intimidating.
and for sure, and it definitely is. But it's all in how you come into them and tell them that are you here to if you want to put up big numbers and you're honestly only going to impress the guy. And by the time you're able to hit those big numbers, you know how many big guys are already there. You know, but if you're there because you really want to change, then you really don't care. As long as you know you gave it 100% and you're happy with that workout for the day, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think a lot of people nowadays, bro, at least from the gyms that I worked at, they'll pay a little bit extra, bro, just for, no cameras, no naked dudes. You get me? Like for example, a lot
I
of
hate
yeah, for example, like a lot of like the gyms that I've worked at, bro, they've been in pretty, I want to say decent to really nice places. So a lot of people there are paying upwards of like 300, $400 a month for a membership, bro. And it's just because of the fact that the classes are smaller, the instructors are more one on one. There's not really a lot of people.
right.
Yeah, there's not really like a lot of people walking in like boom or you get me. Like for the most part, I mean, there will be people walking in that are pretty cut up and whatnot. But mostly what people are paying for, bro, I would say is just kind of like the privacy, bro. Like the privacy of just like being able to work out without having a camera on their face or without people, like without a huge, I guess you could say, like atmosphere of people and noise and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It bugs me too. Um, I don't like people that record in the gym, um, especially like bro. I've seen people go like this and like walking right up to showing like the whole gym, bro. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, but I guess sometimes I'll just look mad and then they see my face and they're like, oh shit.
Like record the opposite way.
But yeah, yeah. Um, my way around that is I just wake up early. Nobody's in the gym at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Mm,
Empty.
yeah.
I mean, there might be what 10, 15 people at the most. And depending on what gym you go to, when I go to somewhat big, so people are pretty scattered.
Mm,
Sometimes you'll be on one side of the gym and you're just by yourself.
mm,
So I mean, if you don't want to be in a big crowd that way, that's one way you can get around it. Uh, Either that or very late at night, depending if your schedule allows it, obviously.
mm-hmm.
But there's always, if you really want to, and if it's something that you really want to do, there's always workaround. You know. But yeah, unfortunately, things that if you're going when everybody in the afternoons when everybody's there, like it's gonna be a lot of camera phones,
People in general, bro.
and just people in general. But that's something that it could change. You have a different option.
Yeah, like for example, a lot of times, bro, the only reason why I have a Planet Fitness gym membership is just so I can use the cardio machines. I don't necessarily really touch the weights at Planet Fitness just because it's always packed, bro. And usually the times that I go, believe it or not, it's like around like 9, 10. And for the most part, like I just go right now because since I'm like cutting weight, I just kind of like go to walk, bro, if I'm being honest. And I see all of the
Yeah,
people like in front of me that are actually using the machines, like packed, bro, like packed, and it's 9 to 10. And what's funny is that what you're saying is actually true. Like if you go at 2, 3 a.m., it's usually empty, bro. Like I want to say
it's
like
empty.
95% of the time it's empty. And yeah, it starts getting full, bro, like around like the 4 a.m. Like when the 4 a.m. people start coming in, like the 4 to 6 or the 5 to 7, that's when it gets packed.
Yeah,
And then again in the afternoon, bro. And like in the middle of the day as well, it's pretty empty. But yeah, I believe those are like the most packed times, bro. Anything from like 4 a.m. to about like 7:30 at most, and anything from about like 4 p.m. onwards, basically, till about like 1, like 3, basically.
yeah. I mean, that's one of, like I said, that's one of my issues. I don't like being recorded. I don't like being, people on their phones or whatever. Um, that's why I go Saturday and Sundays. I wake up
Mm,
early. I go to the gym. Nobody's there.
yeah,
By the
true.
time people do start coming in, I'm already on my way out, so it doesn't really matter. Um, and you have access to all the machines basically.
Mm,
Like I said, no one's gonna bother you, and you're able to enjoy your workout just a little bit more. But people don't want to wake up early. Let's be honest, you don't want to wake up early, and
yeah.
I get it because I don't want to wake up early either, but I still do. Um, because I know later on in the day you're like, well, I can go in the afternoon, but afternoon's too busy. So I'll just go later on that night. But then it gets nighttime, and I don't want to go. I'm too lazy.
Yeah, you're already worn out, probably.
Yeah, you're worn out, and more than likely you're like, oh, I'll just work out at home. More than likely you're not gonna do that. Like, because that's me, bro. Like, I'll
Yeah.
say I work out at home. I don't do it. Especially when you get home from work, you're in traffic for almost an hour, and you know now the temperature, at least here, starting to get a little bit warmer.
Hmm.
So, you know, you're just tired. Once I get home, I won't
Just like, I'll fuck it. I'm gonna go sleep.
forget.
Put some Joe Rogan.
For real.
Nah, yeah, man. I think like gym etiquette has really changed a lot just because of social media, man. Just because of social media and everybody that goes in there. I mean, nowadays people will make a meme about like anything that's trending or anything that's happened over the last few years, and people will be like, "Oh, like that's really relatable because it's something that's really has been changing." Basically, as you know, time goes by, and basically with social media as well. I mean, you have so many people like creating trends out of the gym, bro. Like there's people now, as you mentioned, not just like the recording stuff, bro, but you'll see them doing like, them on the weights being naked, bro, or like doing like all this absurd shit, and it's like it's funny, right? But when you're in there, like as you mentioned, working, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what are you guys doing? You get me?
There was this girl that was at my gym that she was like some famous apparently.
Uh huh.
And I noticed it because I recognized the gym and they told me it's that girl and showed me the video. It was for a while, I guess it was a trend where the girl's so short, she tries to reach up to
Oh,
grab
to
her
la
pull up bar.
poda. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a guy comes and helps her, pulls her up and everything, like a stranger and shit.
Yeah.
And like her boyfriend, like okay, it was just like, to me, it's so weird, bro. Like, how can you really do something like that? Like, it's just cringy. Like, oh, like, it's not. Like, what's the point of doing that?
For likes and views, bro. I mean, that's
It's
all
just
that people
weird.
care about.
To me, it's weird. And that's one of
Yeah,
the reasons why you said I don't have social media.
yeah,
Like, that stuff doesn't catch my attention.
yeah. It
Like,
doesn't appeal to you.
it kind of annoys me,
Hmm.
to be honest with you. Like, it annoys me that most of people on social media, either you're posting pointless shit that nobody cares about, like, oh, I got my nails done, oh, I just washed my truck.
Yeah,
Bro, nobody gives a fuck. Like, let's be honest, nobody cares.
that's true.
You're putting your life out for no fucking reason, and they, like you said, we grew up in South Central, so you grow up with a different mentality. So I'm not gonna be posting my location everywhere. So, regardless if I'm here, if I'm back in LA,
Hmm.
people don't need to know where I am
Yeah.
and what I'm doing. Um, and that's one of the cool things that I love about hanging out with you,
Hmm.
is because you know you don't even touch your phone when we're together. Like, let's be honest,
Yeah.
like your phone is flat. You know, it's just like if we're working out, your phone is over there.
Or
You don't
airplane
even
mode,
know.
bro.
If we go out to eat, like you don't even look at your phone, bro. Like we're actually having conversations. You know what I mean? And that's one of the biggest things that I miss. Like being able to actually have conversations with people. Um, yeah, that's one of the things that I love about being with you and being around you. I'm like that as well. I don't like if I'm eating dinner, like my phone is off. So I don't look at my phone. I mean, you know, um, and I just think social media has played a role so much. But social media has been involved in so many things. People don't realize it. Um, yeah, bro, it's just horrible. I don't like it.
Yeah, honestly, bro, like same thing that you just mentioned. I try not to post anything in my personal life more. I used to be that person too that would like post what I was doing for the most part, but nowadays, since I guess also since I just look more at social media as like a business, or like from a business standpoint, I post a
Yeah,
lot of like breakdowns. So nowadays, you don't necessarily see what I'm doing in my day to day life. You just kind of see the breakdowns of fighters. Basically, you see me kind of do an edit on a combination or something. So there's nothing really personal about my social media anymore. Now I'm looking at it more from like a business standpoint. I'm not looking at it from like, hey, here's my life. I'm gonna share it to you. So
right, right.
yeah, so nowadays, like, I mean, I don't really sit down and like have full on conversations with people on social media. Here and there, bro, like, I'll get a conversation going, by someone that I actually know in real life. You get me? Like, I'm not really conversating with like all of these strangers because let's be honest, bro, how many of those like 7,000 people that follow you or 1,000 people that follow you do you really actually know? You get me?
Yeah, I found that to be the weirdest thing is when people have thousands, hundreds of followers, but you don't know them.
Yeah,
Like you don't know them, and you're telling them basically what's going on in your life,
exactly.
showing them a side of your life that you may not think is important, but look at that. Didn't that rapper get shot because his girlfriend posted her location
Yeah,
on
exactly.
social media,
Hmm.
and they came and shot him? Like that might not be your case or your scenario, but that's one of the things that people do mindlessly. They don't think about those kind of
Yeah,
actions
the
or
dangers that they put
consequences.
themselves in.
Exactly. Um, I do agree. In your scenario, if you have a business, go ahead. I think social media is great for business and getting the word out to what you want to do. But unless you're doing it for business, I would never have one for personal. These people, they're not my friends. And if you were my friend, you would have my phone.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like it's that simple, you know. If you want to get in contact with me, then you'll be able to because you have my phone number.
Yeah.
Like I don't see why I have to have Instagram, you know. And it's that person, if it's your friend, your family, whatever it is, if they really care for you, they'll just text you.
Hmm.
I did. Instead of, they might like every picture you post, but when do they send you a message?
Mm.
They might leave a comment and say, "Oh, thank you," whatever, reply. But when are you actually, you know, creating a bond or communicating with that actual person? Like it's just not there. So, with you, I'll text you randomly, or you'll text me randomly,
Yeah.
and hey, bro, I want to know how you're doing. I want to make sure everything's good, and I hope everything's going okay with you.
Yeah.
And it's a simple text. It doesn't take all day, bro. It's a simple text. Sometimes I don't reply, bro, just because I'm asleep or
Same.
honestly, I just forget.
Yeah.
But even with you, I don't take it personally. So if I text you and you don't reply, it's like, okay, he's busy.
Yeah.
I understand that too. People have shit to do. So I'm like, okay, he's busy. If he gets to it, he gets to it. If not, but at least I know that I sent him a text. I at least asked him, how are you? Or I just told him, hey, I hope you're doing good. I miss you or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, like it's funny. Like and I was just thinking, bro. Like it's funny that you say that. Like on Facebook, bro. I always think about that meme, bro, where it's like you post something like crazy as fuck, like oh I eat ass from the back, and then your tia from Mexico's all like, hola mijo, me saludas a la familia. I like, bro, that shit makes me crack up. But going back to what you just said, bro. Um, yeah, it's true, bro. And like sometimes, if I'm being honest, the only reason why I don't reply, bro, is because sometimes like I'll be busy and then like it's already like really, really late, like in my days, and I'm like, fuck, like I
Yeah,
feel stupid as fuck, like replying to like a message
yeah,
that
I
came
get
in
it.
like 5, 7 hours ago, bro. And so that's why, if I'm being honest, that's why I don't reply sometimes. But yeah,
No,
like,
I'm the same way. I'm
hmm
telling you, I don't take it personal. Like I said, I know you got something to do, and I'm like that with all my friends.
hmm
Like, hey, if you get to it, you get to it. If you don't, I did my part. I at least try to reach out to you.
yeah,
And, if it's just one time, like, cool, bro. But, it starts being a consistent thing, then that's when I'll kind of try to address it.
hmm
But I get it. I get it. I'm just saying, bro, like, everybody's life is busy,
yeah,
you know, like in this world is just chaotic. Just go, 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 go. So I get it.
yeah. Right now I've been quite busy, bro, because I've been looking for a job, and so right now I'm in the process of a background check, and yeah, bro, like I'm constantly on my fucking phone with my recruiter, bro. Like, hey, do this, hey, do that, bro. I'm just like being scolded, bro. It feels like I'm in the fucking army or something, bro. I'm like, all right, for sure, I got it.
Oh, yeah, like, I mean, I get it. Then they doesn't take up much time to just send a quick text.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if it's just, hey, I love you to your family members, or to one of your boys or friends, whatever. Hey, I miss you. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Um, to me, it means a lot, and I don't, I don't need social media.
Oh yeah,
Chances are you never even talk to those people. Like
nah,
you're following them, but you don't even talk to them.
yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, like for the most part, I also think people should take into consideration is just as you mentioned, like they're followers. They follow you, bro, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a fan of you. You get me? Like a lot of people
no,
just be on there trying to, as we say in Spanish, do a maldad, or they're right there just waiting for you, as you mentioned, to slip up and maybe I don't know if you have money or you're always
even
plenty
get you.
money. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's like I said to me. I don't see there's no point having it really. Like I said, like you said, a lot of those people are strangers. A lot of those people you don't know. And how many fake profiles are there?
Mm-hmm.
tons of them. Like anybody can just create a new email and create a new Instagram, and it really is that easy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people might not post a lot, but the people who do, you post a lot of information. You're posting family members. They're seeing who your family is. And if they don't try to expose you, they might get one of your family members who might be a little bit more gullible to if they're trying to extort the money out of you in a way. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Yeah, I just think it's very dangerous. And not only that, like if you like with me when I deleted, I realized who my real friends were because you reached out to me right away. Hey, bro, did you delete the? Why'd you delete your stuff? Like I know that you haven't been on it, or what happened. And I had a couple friends do that, but for the most part, a lot of people, you know, that was it.
Yeah.
And again, the people who had my number, who I wanted to speak to and wanted to speak to me, had my phone number, and if you didn't have my phone number, then you know, and if you wanted to give them my phone number, they were wasted. Too.
Time goes by quick, huh?
It does, bro. I just sound like, oh shit.
Yeah, you know what's funny, bro, is some of the people that I've actually had on here, they're always like, "Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I'm shy. Oh, whatever." And the people that we managed to convince, like as we're going on with the conversation, they're just like, "What the fuck? We already like, have like an hour half in, like we're already 2 hours," and it's like it just keeps going, bro.
I mean, like, bro, you're shy. Just get over it. Like at the end of the day, you're only really having a conversation with one, or well, two
Two
people,
people,
with
yeah,
your co-host, but it's just a conversation.
yeah, and that's cool, bro. That you
I think,
actually like never even really thought about it. You're just like, "Oh shit, like yeah, I'm down as fuck, bro." So I really appreciate that, man.
yeah, nah, hell yes. You asked me, I was like, man, it's an honor for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, like like I said, like it's actually an honor for me, bro, to have you here. But also just the fact that you just like, yeah, fuck it, fool, like I'm ready to go. Because a lot of people, bro, it's not really that like, oh yeah, like I begged them, right? But like I just try to convince them because I thought that they would be a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And I felt like some people that I've had on had good insight, and people were just kind of like nervous, and then I feel for the most part, one of the things that I've been learning off of this like this podcast is first of all like learning how to start a conversation and keep it flowing, and second of all make people comfortable enough for them to just kind of like lose or
Open up.
yeah, exactly. Open up a little bit more and just kind of like lose the fact that this is being recorded. Just kind of like, as you mentioned, think about it like a one-on-one conversation or a one-on-two conversation, and just make it as comfortable as they possibly can, so they're free to express whatever is on their mind.
I mean, bro, when you got as many tattoos as I do, it's kind of hard. You gotta learn. You gotta learn how to talk to people because they get scared. They get, a little,
Intimidated.
yeah, a little intimidated by you. So you gotta learn a little bit how to talk to them and make them feel comfortable,
Hmm.
um, but still be able to get your point across.
Yeah, man. I've been trying to learn more on conversation skills. So this podcast in itself was, yeah, bro, just to have you guys on and just kind of be able to express yourselves freely. But believe it or not, bro, it's also something that's helped me because now I have to, in a way, form my thoughts as clearly as I possibly can, get to the points precisely, and be as efficient with the way that I explain things. And not only that, bro, try to have some type of empathy or sympathy. I don't really know which one's the correct word, but with what people are saying, even though sometimes I'll sit down and I won't necessarily agree with like what everybody is saying, but I try to understand where it is that they're coming from. So that's why sometimes I have to dig a little bit deeper to see kind of like where their thought process kind of begins. You get me?
Yeah, I think it's something very important. Something that I was learning. Well, I'm still learning myself,
Hmm.
but it's just that you're gonna have a lot of people. Like not everybody agrees. So like,
Yeah.
it's okay. But you do have to learn how to be able to hear what they say and not react to it in a negative way.
Hmm.
Um, because if the point of whatever is being talked about is for the sake of the conversation, then you have to have both sides, and you have to be able to hear someone out. It doesn't just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean you have to hate them. Doesn't mean they can associate themselves with you. It's just I respect your position. You need to respect mine,
Hmm.
and as long as it doesn't go, if it doesn't, as long as it doesn't create confrontation, it's like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
Um,
trying to do, bro. Like, not make it like a confrontational thing because, first of all, as you mentioned, like as I mentioned, and I hate sounding so repetitive. I want to make people feel comfortable, and at the same time, I don't necessarily want to make it like a debate thing, right? Like, I want to make it where it's literally all about like the guest, like because if we make it like a debate thing, it's like half of you, half of me, half of you, half of me, and so ultimately you kind of miss out on the whole point why people are basically listening, which is you guys, because they're trying to get a brand new perspective or point of view and see what this new guest has to offer in terms of knowledge, life stories, or anecdotes or whatever they want to talk about.
but see, I think that's one of the ways that at least with myself, I've noticed it with one of my brothers. As you know, I'm the youngest one,
Yeah.
so my second oldest brother, the relationship I have with him now is not what we had growing up.
Hmm.
The only reason I say that is because now me and him have an actual relationship. Like we actually are brothers. We talk, we'll text, you know, it's an actual brother relationship,
Hmm.
right? And I can have one of the things I love about him is that I can have conversations with him, and even though he doesn't agree with me and I don't agree with him, we're able to talk about these things.
Hmm.
And he's very, uh, just the way he is, he's very keen on hearing why I think the way it is. Because I think, I guess, a little bit weird or not a way that a lot of people do. So he's always interested in seeing why I think the way I think, and I'm always interested in hearing why he thinks the way he thinks. And at the end of the day, it's just information. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
adding a little bit more information to your knowledge, and maybe you're able to get a different perspective on it, or maybe even help them get a different perspective on something.
True.
But I don't think it has to be an altercation. It doesn't have to resort to that.
Yeah.
Look, it's a conversation. At the end of the day, if you feel, if you're dislike this person so much, you could just say, hey, you know what? We can just end this conversation here. We're not going to agree, and let's just end it before it
It
turns
escalates.
into something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it escalates. It's a conversation. You can't walk away from it. And I think that's something else that, learning to walk away from conversations that, you know, they can escalate or they're just not helpful or useful to you.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense, bro. As I mentioned, this is a great way for me to communicate. And as you saw, bro, like I get to see and hear a little bit more about your stories and your personal life, which, in my day to day life, I sometimes don't have the luxury, just to sit down and, have a conversation as meaningful as this because now I know that, now you have a relationship with your brother, you get me, which is something that I wouldn't just blatantly like ask, you get me? I wouldn't blatantly just be like, hey,
Yeah,
bro, do you have a conversation with your brothers? You get me? Like, so it's pretty dope, bro.
and like I'm a little bit more reserved or private with my own stuff.
Hmm.
Um, it's just the way I am. Um, but again, it's not like I was gonna bring it up to you like, hey, bro, guess what?
You
You're
see?
my brother
Yeah, you
now.
see?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but just the
Um,
fact that we're sitting here, bro, and we've been having this conversation for about an hour and like 20 minutes, man, like that kind of like that in itself gives it an opportunity for the conversation to flourish into deeper things and have a deeper perspective on a bunch of different things. Like how often, bro, like let's be honest, how often do we ever sit down and talk about like, rows and deadlifts? Like we don't really sit down and have like full on conversations on that, and we don't have conversations on like family for the most part. Every time we hit each other up, bro, it's always been like, hey, bro, like how you doing? Like, or here's this link. Hey, bro, how to watch this? You get me? But now that we're here, an hour in, like we get to just kind of like hear about not just I guess like things of our interest, but everything that's somewhat going on in our day to day life, or at least,
what makes
yeah.
what makes you who you are, pretty much.
Hmm. And yeah, man, like I said, like it's just like something that I just kind of like pick up on, bro, and like a skill that I keep sharpening up every time that I hop on here. Like for the most part, if I'm being honest, when I started this and I had people that my cousin knew, but I didn't necessarily knew, I had to figure out a way in which I was able to narrate it so it doesn't get too off topic because sometimes we would have more than one person. So we just kind of wanted to keep it on the same topic and we didn't want it to go all over the place. So sometimes it
Right,
was
and
it
then
was it was very difficult, bro. So I had to figure out a way in which I was able to narrate it. But believe it or not, the last guest that we had on, he actually in a way narrated it for me because he opened up the statement and I just kind of like let him I just kind of like let them flow, right? And ultimately, we had a pretty solid discussion, bro. But it just was a little bit more relaxing for me as well because I didn't need to narrate it. You get me? I didn't need to like, hey, bro, like in my mind, like I'm also thinking like, hey, I'm not trying to like skew the conversation too much to the right or too much to the left or get totally off topic. I don't know if that makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the things that you said that comes with the shyness of of guests or whatever. Because like I didn't even know what we were going to talk about.
Yeah,
Um, just knowing you personally, I did have a feeling that yeah, Goggins, Joe Rogan,
yeah.
Jonko were going to come up. I'm surprised John Jones didn't come up or Khabib. But,
We haven't talked about
but
MMA.
yeah, but I mean, it's part of it. I think I would say part of the guest is the job would be if you don't really know the host too well, just throw something out that you might think is interesting.
Yeah.
Whether it's interesting to the host or not, but you might think it's interesting enough that can create a conversation to, or something else, or why do you find this interesting? Whether it's this food for you, whatever it may be. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, yeah, you're being interviewed, but you also got to be able to say something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like all this is planned. Like,
No.
again, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but you got to be able to say something, you know. And I think it's something valuable, especially like, bro, we're adults.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you're not able to have a conversation
Conversation.
with an adult? Yeah,
True.
that's kind of, you know, to me, I'd say that's a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
You need to be able to communicate with other people.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that, as you mentioned, it's a soft skill that everybody should have either way. I mean, you should be able to clearly express what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're feeling. So, yeah, I think that if you meet someone, bro, and they don't know how to carry a conversation, and they could be like the most, I guess you could say, like fascinating person in the world, like just simply looking at them or attractive, and like they don't know how to communicate or even keep something going. I think like it's a little bit lackluster, bro. Like it's like, I mean, why am I here? You get me?
Yeah, yeah. I had that issue even with my brothers whenever I would go visit them back home.
Hmm.
Um, Again, like I said, to me personally, I just don't even like being on my phone.
Hmm.
Um, so whenever I would go down there, we all had dinner together. It used to bug me that they were on their phone.
Yeah.
I got my two brothers, my two in-laws, I got my mom, I got my niece, and nobody's talking to one another. Everybody's just on the phone.
Hmm.
And to me, it was like, hey, I came all the way down here. because I want to talk to you guys. I want
Yeah.
to know what's going on in your life. I want to what's new, what's bugging you. Like I don't care if you tell me you stubbed your foot on your toe on the edge of the bed. Like I want to know about it.
Yeah.
So I can talk shit. I'm gonna make fun of you.
But I
But
want to know.
just have fun. Yeah, but I want to know.
Yeah. Tell
Like
me
have a
something.
conversation. Yeah, tell me something. And that was something I brought up to them. That if we're not able to have conversations, I don't see the point in me going all the way down here because I could just call you. I could just say something. That's the case.
Yeah, and I think overall, bro, it's just good to have a conversation and know what's up with people because who knows, bro? Some of us may carry the same problem. Some of us may need advice on a certain thing, or some of us just kind of need an eye opener. Because a lot of times, bro, I'll explain to people, "Oh, I fucked up here too." You get me? Or like, "Hey, well, you get me? Like a few years I was doing this wrong, or a few years ago, I had this problem, and this is what I did." And maybe that sparks an idea in people's mind to get out of a situation, solve a problem, being able to deal with certain people. So that's why I also like started this podcast, bro, for the same reason of not just discussion, bro, but also being connected to, I don't want to say the human race, bro, because I don't know. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, probably like around like 200 people watches, bro, but like a good amount of people, bro, that that may have similar stories, or I might be going through the same stuff, and they could take, like as you mentioned before, bro, some type of knowledge and wisdom from what we're saying.
Another thing too is, when you learn to communicate with somebody, you learn to, like you said, express yourself. And I noticed that with me, just because sometimes the way I would say things out loud wasn't always the way it would be in my head.
Yeah.
And, I would notice that sometimes the words would be different, or even the intention behind it would be different. So I had to learn how to address that
Yeah,
with
like
that
the
person.
like you use the correct maybe words, but maybe your tone was off, or like the way that you
Yeah.
basically expressed it. Yeah, it makes sense.
So I had to understand in my head it was okay. So now I have to communicate with this person. How do I do that?
Hmm.
Well, one way would be by actually just communicating with the person, getting to
Yeah,
talk to them, and over time building that bond to where I can understand the kind of person that they are, so I can learn how to speak to them.
yeah,
Because maybe the way I'd say one thing to you might not be the same way that I can say to
someone
somebody
else.
else and have the same effect or intent behind my message.
Yeah,
You know, so I think getting to know that person is very, very important, so that it allows you how to communicate with them. And again, there and day is getting your point across, being able to hear their
point of view.
views, and, whatever the case may be, and come to a conclusion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, bro. Because I think that especially when I'm meeting new people, bro, I have this problem of things that I say through text being malinterpreted. But it's because I'm not saying things in a mean way. You get me? It's like pretty straightforward. But since you can't really hear the tone in which I'm expressing myself, people just kind of like it
Right?
rubs them the wrong way. You get me? Which is not really my intention. You get me? I don't go out my day or out my way to be like, oh, I'm gonna go offend this guy. You get me? Like it's not what I'm thinking. Never, bro.
Yeah, text I find it harder, a lot harder, like you said, because you can't really. You got emojis, bro, but
Yeah, like they
even
barely
the
like
emojis,
cover it, bro.
I think, I think like emojis is like overrated. Like you just put emojis for everything. You put emojis for everything. You know what I mean?
I put emojis for everything.
But when you actually have that out to that person, like I said, you get to know them. You
Hmm.
get to know how to talk to them, come across them.
Their
But
demeanor.
on top of that, yeah. But on top of that, you get to know yourself
Yeah,
because now you discovered a new way of being able to communicate with someone within yourself.
Yeah.
And that little thing, you know, in this day and age, especially with social media, who you know is very important.
Yeah.
But if you can't talk to those people, if you can't introduce yourself, if you can't, you know, if you have a business idea, but you can't even pitch an idea, you know,
Yeah. Can't make
all that,
sales.
you know, yeah, all that, you know, you might think it's one of the things, but one of the things is going to eventually evolve into a skill.
Yeah. And yeah, man. Basically, bro, like I think I'm probably gonna be closing off the show, bro, just because everybody started getting up here, bro. So it's starting to get like really noisy. I don't know if you could hear like
So, yeah,
everything around me, and like that's one
I
of the
heard your
last
mom,
one of the one of the complaints that I had last time, bro, was that like as I was shooting my show, there was like the ice cream truck and all this other noise. So I'm probably gonna close the show, bro. I want to have you on next week, bro. I don't know if that's cool with you. I'm gonna try to get you on this week, next week if I possibly can, so you could actually hop on here with my cousin, bro. Because I think like it's a little bit like I know that you might not find it this way, but it's I feel like for me, bro, it's like a little bit I guess underwhelming, or maybe you could even say borderline disrespectful that both people are not here. So it'd be cool if I could just maybe set something up with you. Maybe if not next week, maybe the week after. That way, like all of us could sit here and have a full blown conversation. Because it'd be cool for you to meet him because he's pretty much interested in a lot of things that we talked about today.
okay. Yeah, but I mean, it's fine by me. And, you know, if that's something that you want to do, and
Yeah, for sure.
or at least the people who watch the show, if that's
Yeah.
something that they like and would like to see, I'm definitely down with that.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
pitch. I'm a
Again,
pitch the
let me
idea.
know when, and even if it has to be, you say it's on different times as well. So even if it's sooner, that's fine. Just I'll wake up a little earlier, bro. I'll get to the gym earlier.
Don't say that, bro, because then I gotta wake up early.
I woke up at 3 this morning. I was getting on the
Shit,
floor. So
we're gonna
come
have
on
to.
now.
Yeah, and he's gonna have to wake up early too. Yeah, like yeah, but yeah, man, I do want to have you on with him, so that'd be cool. And like I mentioned, or like you hear, bro, like there's too much noise around me already, so I myself am already getting stimulated by all of these other things around me. But yeah, man, thank you, thank you. It's an honor to have you on here. Like it's really good seeing you again, and just being able to chop it up. And before I close down the show, we do this for every guest, bro. This is an important question, man. What's one piece of advice you'd
I'm not
give to the listener?
one piece of advice:
You'd give to anyone.
uh, work out, work out, bro. Working out, it does miracles.
Yeah,
It takes away a lot of stress, makes you focus, um, and it keeps you away from negative things in your life, drinking, smoking, doing good, going out to party. Uh, the way I see it is, why are you gonna give your prime years, past fucking years that you can be in shape of, and go party and get fat and not take advantage of what you can, what you physically able to do.
yeah, and your youth.
You're youth, exactly.
Yeah,
Like how many you see a lot of people here, bro. They got back problems. Like, they're our age. You're still young. Like you shouldn't be
be
having
having
these
those
issues.
problems. Yeah,
Yeah, but if you work out, it can help a lot.
definitely. So you heard it here first, bro, and I approve this message. Not Ben, but thank you for your time, bro, and thank you for being on here. I think this conversation was for like about an hour and like 20 minutes or so, bro. So yeah, man, thank you.
So I could have kept going.
No, yeah, bro, me too, bro. But in all honesty, like there's a lot of noise. But yeah, for sure, for sure,
Nah, I got
I wanna have you on, bro, again because you have a lot of good insight, and I think that not just me and like listeners that are, or that are gonna listen to this podcast will take away from like a lot of good key points and basically little gems that you drop, but also my cousin, I feel like it would be very intrigued by this conversation. So yeah, man, if I'm gonna talk
No,
to
yeah,
him,
definitely, brother.
huh? What happened?
Yeah, definitely. I said, just let me know. You already know. Give me a text. Thank you so much for having me, brother. Much love, much respect. I miss you, and hopefully I get to see you soon.
Yeah, bro. Much love, bro. Like I always have mad respect, mad love for you, bro. And yeah, hopefully you come around or something, bro. Just get a
Yeah,
little
I've
small
been,
workout in.
yeah, I've been working on it, bro. It's fucking,
Yeah, it's all good when as you know, bro. Whenever you're here, I'm here, bro. But yeah, let me just talk to him, bro. Figure out what would be a good time frame, and see if we could set
Mhm.
something up so that way all three of us could sit down and chop it up because I feel like you guys would pretty much connect pretty well, and there'd be a lot of good insight and key points that we could all take away from each other.
I mean, even just to meet him, especially since he's a co-host, I think that even that itself would be, a good reason.
Hmm. Yeah, man.
But yeah, bro.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, bro.